DNA. Testing of a 4,000-year-old mummy in China. Scientists were shocked by what they discovered. Hello, and welcome back to the Ancient History Channel. Dear viewers, in the heart of one of the harshest deserts on the planet, a place where sand-laden winds sting the face, where daytime heat is scorching and nighttime cold cuts to the bone, there lie hundreds of ancient mummies that have rested in silence for thousands of years. They are not found in pyramids, nor in royal tombs, but inside boats. Just hearing that already sounds strange, doesn't it? Yet for scientists, what truly shocked and baffled them was not the shape of the mummies, their age, or the way they were buried, but the DNA sequences that were decoded afterward. Our story begins in the Tarim Basin, located in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region of China. In the 1990s, archaeologists conducting surveys in this area discovered a large number of ancient mummies buried deep beneath layers of arid desert sand. Some of them were up to 4,000 years old, and yet were preserved in an almost intact state. Their skin had not decomposed, their hair was still present, and even their facial features were clearly recognizable. The reason for this unusual immortality lies in the desert's extreme natural conditions. The intensely dry and hot air inadvertently became a kind of natural mummification machine, preventing bacteria from attacking the bodies. However, what puzzled researchers even more was the appearance of these mummies. They had high nasal bridges, deep-set eyes, brown or light blonde hair, and facial features that appeared distinctly Western. Their clothing was woven from wool, and inside the graves were wheat, millet, and cheese, items commonly associated with ancient pastoral and agricultural communities in West and Central Asia. All of these details once led many to believe that these people were migrants from the West who had crossed vast steppes and deserts to settle in the distant land of Xinjiang. But then, science overturned the entire hypothesis. An international research team consisting of scientists from China, Europe, and the United States decided to take a bold step, sequencing the ancient DNA of the mummies. This marked the first time the genomes of these mysterious individuals were comprehensively analyzed. The researchers collected samples from 13 of the oldest mummies in the Tarim Basin, dated between 3,700 and 4,100 years ago, and compared them with remains from 5 individuals who had lived in the Xinjiang Basin in northern Xinjiang. People who were even older, dating back as far as 5,000 years. The results stunned the scientific community. The Tarim mummies were not immigrants, nor were they descendants of nomadic populations from West Asia, as previously believed. Instead, they were indigenous people, direct descendants of an ancient Asian population that had once lived widely during the Ice Age. This was a group of ancient hunter-gatherers, most of whom disappeared from the Earth around 10,000 years ago. Even more remarkably, DNA analyses revealed that these mummies showed almost no genetic mixing with any other contemporary populations. They existed as a kind of genetic oasis, isolated yet not primitive. On the contrary, according to Professor Christina Weriner from Harvard University, they were a culturally open community. They adopted technologies, ideas, and pastoral and agricultural practices from surrounding groups while still maintaining a distinct and unmixed identity. In other words, they did not assimilate, they selectively integrated. In this case, ancient DNA became an extraordinarily valuable historical witness, especially given that written records from that period are nearly non-existent. According to Assistant Professor Vagish Narasimhan from the University of Texas, these genetic data help us better understand how our ancestors migrated, adapted, and survived in some of the most extreme environments on Earth. However, the more scientists understand, the more perplexed they become. To this day, no one can fully explain why these people were buried in boats covered with animal hides with paddles placed at their heads. In the middle of a desert without a single drop of water, what purpose could boats have served? Were they symbols of a journey to the afterlife? Or distant memories of a time when the climate here was far wetter than we imagine? It is difficult to know for certain, but we hope that in the near future, scientific advances will allow researchers to uncover the answer. And of course, this is only one small piece of the vast puzzle known as human history. If the Tarim mummies have not yet sent a chill down your spine or sparked your curiosity, then stay with us, because coming up next, we will explore even more mysterious archaeological discoveries from around the world. Places where every skeleton, every artifact, and every remaining trace has the power to overturn what we once believed to be the truth. Are you ready to continue this journey of discovery with me? If you are, then let's move on to our next discovery right now. The alien grave in Texas, a late 19th century UFO mystery that still divides the world. Imagine this for a moment. If one day, right in the middle of a small remote town, people discovered a grave believed to contain the remains of an alien, would you believe it? It sounds like science fiction, yet this story was carefully documented as far back as the late 19th century, and to this day, it continues to baffle UFO researchers who have been unable to fully explain it. The town of Aurora, Texas, was once little more than a forgotten settlement with barren land and few people paying attention to it. But everything changed on April 15, 1897. That morning, many residents of the town reported seeing a strange flying object hovering over the center of Aurora. The object was moving slowly and appeared to be experiencing mechanical trouble. Just minutes later, disaster struck. The aircraft crashed directly into a windmill on Judge Proctor's property, triggering a powerful explosion that destroyed the windmill, demolished the water tank, and reduced the craft itself to rubble. Terrified residents rushed to the scene, and what they saw left them stunned. Debris was scattered everywhere, described as a lightweight metal resembling a mixture of aluminum and silver, unlike any material known to humans at the time. And among the wreckage lay the body of a strange being. It was small in stature, with a body shape unlike that of any human. Although badly disfigured, many witnesses insisted that it could not have been a human being. Even more intriguingly, on the creature's body was found a piece of paper resembling newspaper material, covered in strange symbols that looked like hieroglyphs and could not be read by anyone. At the time, the residents of Aurora collected the wreckage, dumped it into an old well, and sealed it shut. The body of the strange being was buried in the Aurora Cemetery, placed in a small grave marked by a simple headstone engraved with what appeared to be an airship. The news spread rapidly. Curious onlookers flocked to Aurora in growing numbers. Some firmly believed the story, while others dismissed it as a hoax. But the story did not end there. In 1945, Brawley Oates, the new owner of the land where the UFO had crashed, claimed that while cleaning out the old well, he discovered strange metal fragments. Vapors rising from the well made him dizzy, and fearing toxic gases, he sealed the well with concrete. Decades passed, and the incident seemed to fade into obscurity, until old documents were rediscovered by UFO enthusiasts. Among them was Bill Case, a journalist and director of the Texas UFO Network, who launched an investigation in 1973. He interviewed surviving witnesses and located the grave believed to belong to the alien, though the headstone was now broken in half. Using detection equipment, he discovered a large metal object buried underground. However, when permission was requested to excavate the site, authorities denied the request. Shortly afterward, the metal fragments disappeared, the headstone was stolen, and once again, the burial site slipped into mystery. In 2008, the television program UFO Hunters reopened the investigation. They reopened the old well but found no debris, only unusually high levels of aluminum in the well water. Ground-penetrating radar was also used at the Aurora Cemetery, identifying a suspicious location, but excavation was still not permitted. To this day, the alien grave in Aurora exists only in written records, eyewitness accounts, and a commemorative marker in the cemetery. Some believe the entire story was merely a publicity stunt to promote the town. Others suggest it was the result of an experimental aircraft accident involving a scientist. Yet many people believe that the truth has been deliberately concealed. And in today's context, especially after the US Navy acknowledged that videos of UFO encounters are genuine, the Aurora story once again raises a troubling question. Do humans know far less than we think about what exists beyond Earth? So what do you think? Which theory do you lean toward? Do you believe extraterrestrials truly exist? Or was this merely an elaborate 19th century hoax designed to deceive curious minds? Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below so we can discuss it together. The ancient city swallowed by the Kalahari Desert. In November 1885, Guillermo Farini, a European explorer, claimed that he had walked across the Kalahari Desert and discovered the ruins of an ancient city that had never been previously recorded. According to Farini, amid the vast sea of sand, He saw stones with unusual shapes arranged in structures that appeared to be man-made. Farini did not make this claim lightly. In 1886, he submitted a detailed report of his discovery to both the Berlin Geographical Society and the Royal Geographical Society in Britain. He later published an entire book describing in detail what he had seen. In it, Farini asserted that the ancient city was built in an arc-shaped layout, with part of it completely buried beneath the sand, while the remaining sections were still exposed. He believed the site had existed for thousands of years. From that point on, the legend of the lost city buried in the Kalahari Desert was officially born. Notably, Farini was not the only one who believed this story. Some members of the Khoi people, who had lived in the region for generations, also confirmed that their ancestors had passed down stories of an ancient city deep within the desert. The historian Gustav Prelude even claimed that the Khoi were willing to guide him to the ruins in the northern Kalahari, as well as to another distant location where gemstones had once been discovered. These accounts only heightened the curiosity of explorers and archaeologists. Numerous expeditions were organized in the hope of proving that Farini had not fabricated his story. However, year after year, no conclusive evidence was found. The mysterious city was gradually placed on the list of unsolved legends. Many experts began to express skepticism. Professor A.J. Clement, a leading archaeologist, reviewed the available documents and reached a controversial conclusion. Farini may never have actually crossed the central Kalahari Desert at all. According to Clement, Farini likely traveled only along the desert's edge and may have mistaken naturally occurring dolerite rocks, shaped by erosion, for man-made structures. Just when it seemed the story had come to an end, a surprising development occurred in 2016 when a new expedition was launched. This time, researchers claimed they had discovered stone walls and structures that closely matched Farini's original descriptions. However, the most important question remains unanswered. Were these structures created by humans, or are they merely the result of natural geological processes? To this day, the buried city of the Kalahari Desert has not been definitively confirmed to exist. Yet it is precisely this uncertainty that has made it one of the most intriguing archaeological mysteries in human history. So what do you think? Did Farini stumble upon the remnants of a lost civilization, or has this been nothing more than a misunderstanding that has lasted for over a century? Share your thoughts, because perhaps the truth is still out there, lying beneath the scorching sands of the Kalahari Desert, waiting for future generations to uncover it. Who knows? It's entirely possible, isn't it? 2,000-year-old treasure in Pompeii, the house frozen in the moment of doomsday. Imagine one day stepping into an ancient house where the oven is still there, floor tiles are neatly stacked and waiting to be laid, mortar has not yet been fully used, yet the owners vanished 2,000 years ago. What would you think had happened? It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? And yet, in Pompeii, this chilling scenario is real. Proof comes from a recent excavation at the petrified city of Pompeii, part of the Pompeii Archaeological Park in Italy, where scientists uncovered what they themselves have called the most unusual treasure ever found at the site. It is not gold, silver, or rare artifacts, but a large house in which everything inside appears to have been frozen at the exact fatal moment 2,000 years ago. Pompeii is the famous ancient city destroyed by the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. Ash and volcanic debris fell so rapidly that many people had no chance to escape, leaving behind petrified victims in countless poses, some curled up on the ground, some crouching, others caught mid-run in sheer desperation. That horrific disaster inadvertently became a kind of time capsule, preserving an entire city in astonishing detail. However, even though archaeologists are accustomed to stone-cast bodies and ancient structures, they were still taken aback by this discovery. A construction site preserved as if work had never stopped. Inside the house, renovation work was clearly underway just moments before the disaster struck. Piles of mortar remained untouched, floor tiles were carefully arranged and ready for installation, and there were no signs of panic or a rushed escape. This discovery offers scientists a perfect slice of time, allowing them to look directly into everyday life and construction techniques from 2,000 years ago. The house has been identified as belonging to a baker, as a complete oven was found inside. Even more remarkably, researchers discovered a piece of artwork depicting flatbread and a glass of wine, simple, everyday images from the lives of ancient Pompeii residents. In addition, a political campaign poster was found on one of the walls, expressing support for a politician named Aulus Rustius Verus, revealing just how active and vibrant political life once was in the city. Not far from the oven, the remains of 2 women and a young boy were discovered, likely family members who tried to shelter inside the house but could not escape the deadly flow of ash. In the reception area, tools used for measuring and accounting during construction were still in their original positions. In the household shrine, amphorae used to mix plaster for finishing the walls were found exactly where they had been left, as if waiting for human hands to return and complete the unfinished work. In other rooms, archaeologists uncovered surprisingly familiar construction tools such as plumb bobs and concrete mixing implements, tools that modern builders still use today. The greatest value of this discovery lies in the insight it provides into the secrets of ancient Roman concrete. Analyses show that the Romans mixed dry lime and dry pozzolana with very hot water, creating a fast-setting concrete that was exceptionally durable and capable of self-healing small cracks through exposure to moisture. Pozzolana, volcanic ash or pumice, forms a cement-like binding compound when combined with slaked lime. From this unusual treasure, one conclusion becomes clear. The technical skill of the people of Pompeii and of ancient Rome as a whole was far more advanced than we once believed. In fact, many scientists today think that modern humanity still has much to learn from their construction techniques and building materials. And what about you? If you were able to step into that frozen house, do you think you would feel more fear or more awe? Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below. 2,500-year-old ice mummy in Siberia reveals a mystery that shook the archaeological world. In the freezing Uyghur Plateau of Siberia, where the wind cuts so sharply that standing still for just a few minutes can leave a person numb, there was a secret that lay dormant for more than 2 millennia. It was not until 1993, when humans finally reached the permafrost, that this secret began to reveal itself, sending shockwaves through the global archaeological community. At the time, the media gave the discovery an almost mythical name, the Uyghur Princess, also known as the Ice Maiden. The mummy belonged to a woman found deep within the Uyghur Plateau in Siberia, Russia. From the very beginning, scientists recognized it as one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. Thanks to advances in modern science, the identity and life of this woman have gradually come into focus. According to experts, she belonged to the Pazyryk people, an ancient nomadic culture, and held noble status. The Uyghur princess is believed to have lived around the 5th century BCE. To date, the mummy is estimated to be approximately 2,500 years old. What truly stunned archaeologists was not only the mummy's age, but also the extraordinary state of preservation of the burial. The tomb had never been looted. The coffin remained intact and tightly sealed, and the ice inside the grave had never melted since it froze thousands of years ago. However, the true identity of this woman remains a subject of debate. Some theories suggest that she was not merely a noblewoman, but possibly a shaman or spiritual leader of the Pazyryk tribe. One key piece of evidence is that her grave was completely isolated from other burials. In ancient pastoral societies, only shamans were typically buried separately in this way. Further chemical analyses revealed traces of mercury and copper inside the mummy's nasal cavity. This finding led to the hypothesis that she may have inhaled these substances to enter trance-like states and expand her consciousness, a ritual commonly associated with ancient shamans. In addition, the mummy was found wearing an elaborate headdress, further reinforcing the idea that this woman held a special role within her community. The body of the Uyghur princess also bears intricate tattoos, a practice that was widespread among the Pazyryk people. However, later genetic testing produced an unexpected result. She was a descendant of European populations, rather than being entirely of Asian origin as many had previously assumed. Magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, scans brought even more surprises. The mummy was extremely thin, unlike other noble mummies that had been discovered before, which typically showed signs of good nutrition. She stood approximately 5 feet 5 inches to 5 feet 7 inches tall, which was quite tall for her era, but weighed only about 108 pounds. Final analyses revealed that she suffered from cancer during the final stage of her life. Remarkably, despite her severe illness, she was not abandoned by her tribe. They continued to bring her with them during seasonal migrations to the Uyghur Plateau to herd livestock until spring. It is believed that during this harsh journey, she may have fallen from a height and died. Inside the tomb, archaeologists also discovered cannabis, which is believed to have been used to relieve pain caused by cancer and physical injuries. For more than 20 years, the mummy was preserved at the Novosibirsk Museum of Archaeology and Ethnography. In September 2012, the Uyghur princess was transferred to the National Museum in Gorno-Altaysk. And even today, one question remains unanswered. Who was she really? A princess, a shaman, or a spiritual figure far beyond our current understanding? What do you think? Which explanation do you find most convincing? A 300,000-year-old giant elephant skeleton in Germany reveals how Stone Age humans survived. My friend, just imagine this for a moment. What if one day, while digging deep into the ground, you suddenly came across the skeleton of a gigantic creature that once roamed the earth 300,000 years ago, at a time when humans had not yet learned how to farm or build houses? And even more unsettling, what if that creature lived at the same time as our distant ancestors? How would that make you feel? If it's hard to picture, then come with me to Schöningen, a famous archaeological site in Lower Saxony, Germany, often described as a window straight into the Paleolithic Age. It was here that a team of archaeologists from the Senckenberg Center for Human Evolution and Paleoenvironment at the University of Tübingen unearthed a nearly complete skeleton of a straight-tusked elephant, dating back as far as 300,000 years. Schöningen was already well known in the scientific community. The site had previously caused a sensation with the discovery of the oldest known wooden spears, along with remains of horses, saber-toothed cats, and many other large mammals that were once hunted by humans. But this new discovery is even more extraordinary. According to Dr. Jordi Serengeli, an archaeologist at the Senckenberg Center, the research team uncovered a pair of tusks measuring up to about 7.5 feet long, an almost intact lower jaw, multiple vertebrae, ribs, and large limb bones from 3 legs. Most remarkably, they also found 5 delicate hyoid bones, a type of bone that is extremely rare to survive preservation over hundreds of thousands of years. So just how massive was this elephant? According to archaeologist Vo Verheyen from Leiden University, this was an elderly female elephant, as indicated by her heavily worn teeth, a clear sign of advanced age. When alive, she stood approximately 10 feet 6 inches tall at the shoulder and weighed around 15,000 pounds, making her even larger than modern female African elephants. A creature of that size could have killed a Stone Age human with a single attack. For this reason, scientists believe the elephant was not hunted by humans, but most likely died of old age or illness. In fact, elephants often move toward water or lie near lake shores when they grow weak, and at that time, Schöningen was an environment rich in ancient lakes and wetlands. However, the story does not end there. Near the elephant's skeleton, archaeologists discovered 30 small stone flakes and 2 long bones used as hammering tools. Notably, these tools contained microscopic stone fragments embedded in them, indicating they had been sharpened and reworked on-site, very close to the elephant's remains. According to Dr. Serengeli, this suggests that Homo heidelbergensis, the ancestor of both Neanderthals and modern humans, likely butchered the elephant, cutting meat, tendons, and fat from the carcass. A naturally deceased elephant would have provided an enormous source of food, enough to sustain an entire group for a long period of time without the deadly risk of hunting it. Although Paleolithic humans were skilled hunters, researchers argue there was no compelling reason for them to risk attacking a fully grown elephant. They understood their environment well and knew that large elephants often died naturally near bodies of water, places where humans could take advantage of the situation without facing extreme danger. Of course, the discovery at Schöningen does not completely rule out the idea that ancient humans hunted elephants. But it raises a profound question. Could it be that much of the relationship between humans and prehistoric giants was not solely about hunting and killing, but also about observation, patience, and the intelligent use of nature? It's hard to say for certain, but it certainly makes you think, doesn't it? The giant stone sarcophagus in Egypt, a terrifying mistake by the ancient pharaohs. In the heart of Egypt's arid desert, where the heat seems capable of melting time itself, there lies a valley where every grain of sand is soaked with power, blood, and untold secrets. This is the Valley of the Pharaohs. And it is here that archaeologists uncovered a discovery that stunned the entire world. A stone sarcophagus so enormous that even its creators could not fit it properly into the tomb. It sounds absurd, doesn't it? Yet it is entirely true. This colossal sarcophagus is believed to have been the final resting place of Pharaoh Merneptah, a powerful ruler who governed Egypt more than 3,200 years ago. What left archaeologists truly astonished was not only the identity of the man buried inside, but the sheer, almost irrational size of the coffin itself. It measures over 13 feet long, about 7.5 feet wide, and nearly 8.2 feet tall, making it the largest stone sarcophagus ever discovered for a pharaoh. Take a moment and think about that. In an era with no modern machinery, no cranes, no steel, no engines, how could the ancient Egyptians possibly transport a massive granite structure like this deep underground? According to Dr. Edwin Brock, an archaeologist from the Royal Ontario Museum in Canada who was directly involved in the research, this was a feat far beyond what we normally imagine. He admitted, "We have never seen a stone sarcophagus of this size and level of craftsmanship. It reflects the extraordinary technical skill and spiritual beliefs of the ancient Egyptians." Archaeologists believe the sarcophagus was fully assembled first, then dragged into the tomb using a system of pulleys, ropes, and wooden beams. But then, the unthinkable happened. As the work neared completion, the builders realized a catastrophic mistake. The sarcophagus did not fit through the entrance of the tomb, an error that seems impossible in one of the most sacred constructions imaginable, one directly tied to beliefs about the afterlife and the eternal immortality of the pharaoh. Yet instead of abandoning the project or starting over, both nearly impossible options, the builders made a decision so bold it is almost unbelievable. They destroyed the tomb entrance itself. Yes, they smashed the doorway, widened the entrance just enough to move the sarcophagus inside, and then rebuilt everything exactly as it had been before, completely concealing the traces of what may have been the most horrifying error correction in ancient Egyptian history. Over time, the sarcophagus shattered into multiple pieces, possibly due to grave robbers or simply from being buried under stone and earth for thousands of years. Only the lid remains nearly intact, standing as a silent witness to history. Today, archaeologists are painstakingly reassembling each fragment as if piecing together the memories of a once great civilization. This discovery is not only a triumph of archaeology, but also a powerful reminder that history is shaped not just by glory, but by very human mistakes as well. 500-year-old egg found intact in an ancient Chinese tomb. What do you think is the most fragile thing over time? Paper, wood, or food? But what if I told you that some eggs have lain underground for 500 years, enduring wars, natural disasters, and the relentless passage of time, and yet, when unearthed, their shells were still completely intact? Hard to believe, right? And yet, this is exactly what archaeologists have recently discovered in China. The story begins in Sichuan province, where a team of archaeologists was excavating an ancient tomb dating back to the Ming Dynasty, which ruled from 1368 to 1644. The tomb is located inside a public park in the city of Guang'an, and at first glance, it appeared no different from many other ancient graves previously uncovered. But as archaeologists dug deeper inside, they encountered something that left everyone stunned. Inside the tomb was a large jar filled with rice, and remarkably, eggs were buried directly within it, with their shells still intact, neither broken nor decayed as one might expect. According to researchers, the exact number of eggs is still being carefully examined and documented, as even the smallest mistake could cause irreversible damage to these extremely delicate artifacts. Mr. Tang Yunmei, director of the Guang'an Museum, explained that the tomb structure was sealed almost perfectly. The coffin was designed to be highly resistant to moisture and corrosion, and the interior was coated with a thick layer of lime measuring approximately 0.8 to 2 inches. This lime layer created a dry, stable environment that greatly limited bacterial activity and slowed natural decomposition. Moreover, both the rice jar and the eggs were tightly sealed with a lid, as if the ancient builders had carefully planned their preservation in advance. However, what puzzles scientists the most is not just how the eggs were preserved, but why they were placed in the tomb in the first place. To this day, historians have not reached a unified explanation. One theory suggests that eggs symbolized fertility and the continuation of life, a wish for numerous descendants and unbroken family lineages. In East Asian culture, eggs have long been regarded as symbols of beginnings and rebirth. On the other hand, some more practical and even somewhat mundane interpretations propose that the tomb's owner simply enjoyed eating eggs while alive, and that the family buried this familiar food as part of the grave goods. It may sound simple, but in archaeology, many major discoveries originate from surprisingly ordinary human behaviors. Regardless of their meaning, the discovery of intact eggs in an ancient tomb is considered extremely rare in China. Eggs are inherently fragile, easily damaged by moisture, soil pressure, and the passage of time. For this reason, the find is regarded as highly unusual and offers valuable insight into ancient burial practices and preservation techniques. At present, archaeologists are continuing to verify the number of eggs while implementing strict protective measures to prevent any damage to these mysterious artifacts. Every small detail may hold a much larger story, one about history, culture, and the beliefs of people who lived half a millennium ago. So what do you think? Do these eggs carry spiritual significance, or are they simply evidence of a very down-to-earth habit of the ancient people? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because sometimes it's the smallest questions that unlock the greatest mysteries of the past. 3,300-year-old pink stone sarcophagus and the untold secrets of ancient Egypt's Minister of Finance. If you think ancient Egyptian tombs are nothing more than sand, dry bones, and walls cracked by time, then this discovery will certainly make you think again. Some things, despite being buried for more than 3 millennia, still leave modern humanity stunned by their extraordinary level of preservation when they are finally unearthed. This story takes us back to ancient Egypt over 3,300 years ago, during the glorious reign of Pharaoh Ramses II. At Saqqara, an ancient necropolis located not far from Cairo, archaeologists uncovered a remarkable tomb. Hidden deep underground was a pink granite sarcophagus, almost perfectly preserved, so beautiful that even experts described it as a dream discovery. The owner of the sarcophagus was no ordinary individual. It belonged to Ptah Mwiya, a high-ranking official who served as the head of the royal treasury under Ramses the Great, essentially the equivalent of a modern-day minister of finance. This sarcophagus is rare not only because of its age, but also because of its material. Pink granite is extremely difficult to quarry and carve, and it was typically reserved only for the most powerful elite. On its surface, ancient Egyptian artisans meticulously carved hieroglyphic inscriptions and mythological symbols. Most striking on the lid is the image of the sky goddess Nut spreading her wings, as if embracing and protecting the soul of the deceased. Surrounding her are the 4 sons of the god Horus, deities tasked with guarding the internal organs and the soul on its journey to the afterlife. Yet what truly captured archaeologists' attention was not just the sarcophagus's external beauty. The inscriptions carved into the stone tell the story of Ptah Mwiya's life and career. He once served as an overseer of livestock, a royal scribe, and later rose to control the state treasury, a position that reflected immense power, trust, and influence within the ancient Egyptian government. It is no exaggeration to say that he quite literally held the keys to the kingdom's wealth. The tomb in which the sarcophagus was found originally extended approximately 75 feet underground. To reach it, archaeologists had to remove tons of sand while working under extremely harsh conditions. Upon reaching the second underground level, the pink stone sarcophagus came into view, nearly intact, with only a portion of the lid damaged. This suggests that the tomb had once been looted, but due to its massive size and weight, the sarcophagus escaped complete destruction. According to archaeologist Ola El-Aghizi of Cairo University, the fact that this sarcophagus has survived for more than 3,300 years in such good condition is extraordinarily rare. It is not merely an archaeological artifact, but something like a time portal, allowing us to see more clearly how the ancient Egyptians honored power, death, and their belief in immortality. And the journey of discovery is far from over. Scientists continue to study this sarcophagus in hopes of uncovering more secrets about Ptah Mwiya and the structure of power during the reign of Ramses II. Who knows? Perhaps from a single pink stone coffin, the history of ancient Egypt may one day need to be rewritten in ways we never imagined. Bottomless deep cave, filled with treasure. Do you believe that hidden within a sacred mountain in China, there could exist a gateway leading straight into the past? A shocking discovery that left archaeologists across the country stunned. A mystery buried for thousands of years suddenly brought to light, and it all began with nothing more than a single strike of a construction shovel. Specifically, on an ordinary day in 1983, while a construction crew was working on the slope of Xinjiang Mountain in Guangzhou, a mountain long regarded as sacred and steeped in legend, something unexpected happened. Their excavator struck a massive hollow space beneath the ground. Upon closer inspection, they discovered a pitch-black cave, plunging so deep that its bottom could not be seen. The atmosphere instantly became tense. None of the workers dared to enter, as the darkness and mystery of the cave sent chills down their spines. Instead, they quickly reported the incident to local authorities, who then contacted an archaeological team to investigate the strange discovery. After conducting a preliminary survey, archaeologists reached a startling conclusion. This was not merely a natural cave, but a structure resembling an ancient tomb. Prior to construction, the crew had already researched the site and learned that Xinjiang Mountain had once served as a military stronghold in ancient times, a place where many feudal generals chose to be buried, believing it would protect their bloodlines from the upheavals of history. For this reason, discovering an ancient tomb here was not entirely unexpected. However, its sheer scale and depth far exceeded anyone's imagination. Speculation quickly spread. Was this a long-lost treasure vault from antiquity, or perhaps an unexcavated royal mausoleum? After sealing off the area and using specialized equipment to descend deeper, the archaeological team uncovered a vast underground space. Stone walls adorned with intricate carvings emerged, eroded by time, yet still retaining their ancient grandeur. The characters revealed on the walls startled the experts, as they closely resembled script from the Western Han Dynasty. To verify their findings, the team split into two groups. One focused on studying the inscriptions and comparing them with ancient texts, while the other continued excavating the tomb complex. Historical records indicated that during the Western Han period, this region belonged to the Kingdom of Nanyue, an ancient state in southern China founded by Zhao Tuo, a former general of the Qin dynasty. As they ventured deeper, the archaeologists uncovered more and more priceless artifacts: massive bronze tripod cauldrons, elaborately carved screens, gold-plated armor, various weapons such as swords and spears, and even a horse-drawn chariot placed ceremoniously at the center of the tomb. Yet none of these discoveries alone were enough to conclusively identify the individual buried there. That answer only came when the team found a gold jade seal engraved with 4 characters: Seal of Emperor Wen. Emperor Wen was the posthumous title of Zhao Hu, the second king of Nanyue and the son of Zhao Tuo. The discovery of an ancient king's tomb holds immense archaeological significance and serves as a vivid testament to the once glorious history of a civilization that flourished in southern China. What is truly remarkable is that, despite thousands of years passing, the tomb has remained almost completely intact, untouched by looters, as if time itself had chosen to preserve it as an invaluable treasure of history. Nazi German warship Rex rise from the Danube after 80 years. Some things seem as though they have been buried by history forever, but when nature pulls back the curtain, they resurface, cold, rusted, and deeply unsettling. This time, not from the depths of the ocean, but right in the middle of Europe's legendary Danube River. During a severe drought described as the worst in the past 500 years, the water level of the Danube suddenly dropped to a historic low. This dramatic change revealed a chilling sight that stunned both local residents and researchers alike. Dozens of Nazi German warship wrecks from World War II emerging from the riverbed. Few people realized that beneath the surface of this seemingly peaceful river lay an entire warship graveyard. To understand how it got there, we need to turn back the clock to 1944, when World War II was entering its most brutal phase. Under relentless attacks from the Soviet Red Army, Nazi German forces were forced to retreat from Eastern Europe. During this chaotic withdrawal, hundreds of vessels belonging to a German fleet were deliberately scuttled along the Danube to prevent them from falling into enemy hands. For nearly 80 years, these ships lay silently beneath murky waters, gradually becoming an invisible part of the river itself. However, climate change, bringing prolonged heat waves and droughts, has unintentionally dragged them back into the light. According to Reuters, in just one stretch of the Danube near the town of Prahovo in eastern Serbia, more than 20 warship wrecks have become clearly visible. Many of them still retain their original shape, from the hulls and command towers to sharp metal structures protruding above the water's surface. What is even more concerning is that many of these wrecks still contain weapons, ammunition, and unexploded ordnance. As a result, this is no longer merely a historical discovery. It has become a serious threat to navigation safety. When water levels drop, exposed jagged metal can damage fishing boats or cause severe accidents for passing vessels. Velimir Trajilovic, a 74-year-old retired resident of Prahovo, calls these wrecks forgotten dangers. For many years, he has devoted himself to researching them, collecting documents, and even writing an entire book to tell the story of these warships lying silently beneath the Danube. The Danube, you see, is Europe's second longest river, flowing through numerous countries and long celebrated as one of the continent's most majestic waterways. Yet during the recent extreme droughts, the river has narrowed significantly. In Serbia, authorities have been forced to carry out emergency dredging to keep waterways open. In Prahovo alone, several wrecks have narrowed the navigable channel from about 590 feet to just 330 feet, severely disrupting river traffic. In response, in March of this year, the Serbian government opened bids for a salvage and unexploded ordnance removal project with an estimated cost of 29 million euros. These Nazi German warship wrecks are no longer just remnants of war. They are stark reminders of the long-lasting consequences of conflict and climate change. History, even after many decades, can suddenly rise to the surface, right before our eyes. And you, if one day you were walking along the Danube and saw those rusted warships emerging from the water, would you think about war or about the future of humanity itself? 4. 1,900-year-old Roman swords found in a cave in Israel. In the heart of the arid Judean desert, where scorching sunlight beats down day and night and every inch of land is steeped in legend, a small cave hidden behind treacherous cliffs has revealed a secret buried for thousands of years. Within the eerie stillness of the En-Gedi Nature Reserve, located just west of the Dead Sea, Israeli archaeologists have announced a stunning discovery: an ancient Roman weapons cache, preserved in remarkably intact condition for more than 2,000 years. Because of its isolated location, the cave that held these priceless artifacts had long been concealed by time and its dangerous terrain. Nestled deep within a cluster of sheer rock faces, it could only be reached by explorers willing to take great risks and show exceptional perseverance. Ironically, this very inaccessibility became the perfect shield, preserving one of the rarest archaeological treasures from the Roman period in ancient Judea. Inside the cave, the research team uncovered 4 Roman swords, each carefully placed inside a wooden scabbard. What makes the discovery extraordinary is that both the scabbards and the blades are preserved in exceptionally good condition, seemingly defying the harsh passage of time. Their handles, finely crafted from wood or metal, have retained their original shape. Of the 4 swords, 3 have blades measuring approximately 24 to 26 inches in length and have been identified as spatha swords, a standard weapon commonly carried by Roman soldiers during military campaigns. The 4th sword has a shorter blade, measuring about 18 inches, suggesting it may have been intended for close-quarters combat or for use in specialized fighting environments. Archaeologists believe these weapons were not simply forgotten. It is highly likely that they were war trophies taken by Jewish rebels who rose up against Roman rule in the 1st century AD. The rebels may have seized the swords during attacks on Roman camps or patrols, and for reasons unknown, concealed them inside this cave, perhaps in preparation for a future uprising, or simply to safeguard their weapons during a time of turmoil. But like many rebellions throughout history, everything came to an abrupt end, leaving the swords lying silently in the darkness for millennia. Following the discovery, experts from the Israel Antiquities Authority, IAA, carefully removed the artifacts from the narrow rock crevices and transported them to a laboratory for conservation and analysis. Initial assessments indicate that the swords perfectly match the design and materials of Roman weapons widely used in ancient Judea, a region that was once a major flashpoint of conflict between the Roman Empire and local Jewish communities. The discovery of these swords is not merely an archaeological achievement, it opens a new window through which to view history from a different perspective, one where stories of rebels, struggles for freedom, and untold fragments of a bloody era are gradually coming to light. How many more artifacts, how many hidden weapons caches, How many forgotten stories still lie concealed beneath the rocks and sands of the Judean desert? And could this discovery point to clues surrounding one of the greatest uprisings against Roman rule ever recorded? From a remote cave in a harsh desert, the past speaks once again, not through words, but through steel. Silent yet powerful, these swords remain as sharp as the message they carry. History, no matter how deeply buried, will always find a way back into the light. And we, the people living today, bear the responsibility to listen, to uncover, and to illuminate the glorious past of those who came before us. Dear friends, we've just finished exploring some of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries uncovered in recent times. So, which of the discoveries we discussed impressed you the most? Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any other fascinating discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you next time.